Every gardener dreads it at some point: heavy clay soil. It cracks when dry, clumps when wet, and makes a simple task like planting feel like chiseling through rock. Crops planted in it often struggle, roots suffocate, and the soil seems lifeless no matter how much compost or fertilizer is added. Many give up on it entirely, convinced that clay soil is a dead end for gardening. But here's the truth that too often gets overlooked: clay soil is not a curse, it is a sleeping giant. With the right plants, it can be turned into one of the richest and most productive soils in the garden. The key is choosing species that not only tolerate clay but actively work with it, breaking it open, drawing up nutrients, and setting the stage for worms and microbes to move in. Stay with this video because in the next few minutes we'll uncover 8 plants that don't just survive in clay. They thrive in it, and more importantly, they help transform it into loose, fertile ground over time. You know, this isn't about temporary fixes. It's really about letting nature's toughest plants do the work of healing the heaviest soils for you. Sunflowers. The soil drillers. These sunflowers aren't only cheerful giants above ground. Below the surface, they send strong tap roots deep into compacted layers, acting like natural augers that pry clay apart. And as those roots decay, they leave behind channels that allow air and water to penetrate. This simple act begins breaking the cycle of compaction that makes clay soil so hostile to most plants. The biomass sunflowers produce also returns to the soil as organic matter when cut and dropped. Over time, their presence doesn't just grow flowers, it sets the stage for friable soil conditions that benefit future crops. Daikon radish, the biotiller. Daikon radish is one of the most effective living tools for heavy soil. Its massive roots can pierce even the hardest clay, reaching depths most crops can't access. When those roots are left to decompose in place, they leave behind hollow tunnels that function like mini drainage pipes. These voids allow excess water to escape and worms to move in freely. Farmers have long relied on daikon as a natural way to loosen ground without machinery, and gardeners can borrow this trick. In just one season, a patch of daikon can transform the structure of a stubborn bed. Comfrey, the mineral pump. Clay soils are mineral-rich by nature, but their nutrients are often locked away. Comfrey's roots, which can reach several feet deep, mine those reserves and pull them to the surface. The leaves, heavy with potassium, calcium, and other minerals, can be cut several times a season and dropped as mulch. As they decompose, those nutrients return to the topsoil in a form accessible to vegetables. Over time, Comfrey doesn't just feed the garden, it balances clay's mineral load with organic matter, helping to shift it from sticky and unworkable to crumbly and alive. Clover, the nitrogen fixer. Clay soils often suffer from nutrient imbalance, especially when they've been farmed or left bare. Clover addresses this by capturing nitrogen from the air through its symbiotic root bacteria. That nitrogen stays in the soil long after the clover is cut or tilled in, providing a steady source of fertility without store-bought amendments. Clover's dense root system also creates a web that resists erosion, something clay is particularly vulnerable to once it cracks. By planting clover as a cover, gardeners give their clay beds both food and structure, setting the foundation for healthier crops in the following season. Buckwheat, the phosphorus unlocker. Phosphorus is critical for root development, but clay often locks it in forms plants cannot use. Buckwheat has the rare ability to draw phosphorus out and cycle it into a usable form. Buckwheat, with its quick growth, shades the clay soil, keeping it from baking into a brick during those hot summer days. It's really quite effective at protecting the soil. When cut and returned to the soil, Buckwheat leaves behind this soft organic matter. It mixes with the clay particles and, it really helps in reducing their density. This dual action of nutrient unlocking and shading makes buckwheat a short-season crop that, honestly, delivers long-term benefits to those stubborn soils. It's pretty amazing what it can do over time. Alfalfa, the deep builder. Alfalfa is not just forage for livestock. For soil, it's actually one of the most powerful long-term builders out there. Its deep taproots fracture clay and over time continually deposit organic matter as roots die back and regrow. Alfalfa also fixes nitrogen, balancing the fertility of soils that are otherwise nutrient-heavy but organic poor. Over multiple seasons, a patch of alfalfa works steadily to lighten the soil texture and enrich its microbial community. Rye the protector. Exposed clay soil quickly deteriorates. Winter rains turn it into a swamp, and summer sun bakes it solid. Rye is the classic protector crop that shields clay from both extremes. Rye has these amazing fibrous roots that spread densely. It's like they create this network beneath the surface, preventing erosion while opening these tiny channels throughout the topsoil. It's pretty fascinating how nature works, isn't it? Now, another great thing about rye is that it produces large amounts of biomass. When this biomass is returned to the soil, it mixes with clay particles to form a stable, crumbly structure. It's almost like magic how it all comes together to enhance the soil's texture. So, by planting rye over the off-season, gardeners can ensure that their clay soils don't regress. Instead, these soils continue improving even while the beds are taking a break. It's a clever way to keep the soil in top shape, even when it's resting. Mustard, often called the cleanser, is really something special. You see, clay soils often harbor pests and diseases because they stay wet and compacted. Mustard tackles this problem directly. When it's incorporated into the soil, it releases compounds that suppress nematodes and harmful fungi. Gardeners dealing with recurring root problems in clay beds often find that just one season of mustard resets the balance. Beyond its cleansing role, mustard contributes organic matter and acts as a quick cover that prevents weeds from taking advantage of bare clay. It is both a treatment and a builder, giving troubled soils a fresh start. The long game of clay soil revival. Clay soil cannot be fixed overnight, but it can be steadily transformed when the right plants are allowed to do their work. Sunflowers and Daikon break the compaction. Comfrey and alfalfa mine and return deep nutrients. Clover and buckwheat enrich and balance fertility. Rye shields and structures the surface, while mustard cleanses and resets biological health. Together, these plants form a living toolkit for gardeners facing the toughest soil conditions. The beauty of this approach is that it turns a problem into an advantage. Clay's density means it holds more nutrients and moisture than sandy soils ever can, if only it is opened up and balanced. By cycling through these 8 plants, clay that once felt like concrete can be converted into a soil rich with life, where worms burrow freely and roots explore without resistance. This isn't just theory, it's the same method that farmers and gardeners have relied on for centuries, and honestly, it still works today. If clay soil has been holding back your gardening, just know that it isn't a dead end. With patience and, the right allies in plant form, it can become the most fertile ground you'll ever grow in. These 8 species really prove that no soil is beyond revival. It's just waiting for the right roots to unlock its potential. If this guide gave you clarity and some practical steps for dealing with clay, go ahead and subscribe to HydroHaven and share this video with your fellow gardeners. Together, we can spread the knowledge that even the hardest soils can be brought back to life with the simplest, most natural tools, plants themselves.